Thanks for stopping back. Car's back on the ground. I have the 325s on it. Interior's back in. Gas tank's in. So we're getting somewhere. The problem I'm having right now is one coilover is adjusted about 1.5 inches lower than the other. So I'm going to investigate that today and try to get that straightened out. As you can see, the car's sitting pretty level, which could be a good thing, but we'll get up under here and you'll see that I've got one coilover way lower, like over 1 inch, adjusted over 1 inch different than the other side. So that one's just about on the bottom, as you can see, while the other one is adjusted up quite a few threads. Like I said, it's over 1 inch. So that leads me to believe that I've got either a problem and something's in a bind, or potentially one of the springs is is significantly different than the other. I'm not really sure. The brackets may not be exactly precisely welded on the same part of the frame, but they're really close. So I'm going to take the anti-roll bar loose, take that out of the equation, and if that works, I'm going to mess around with the upper control arms and make sure that there's not some kind of preload situation with those. So we'll start off with getting the anti-roll bar out of the equation. Okay, the end links are off, and it seems to have made no difference in anything. So I'm going to move on to seeing if there's any preload on the upper control arms. Okay, so I found that the control arm was putting it in a bind. And the way I resolved that was to put it up in the air on the lift. Eventually I put it back on the lift and basically loosened up one of the upper control arm bolts and just adjusted the upper control arm in and out until it got to a point where the bolt moved real freely, and that seemed to work. I tightened everything back down at that point, and so now I ended up with just a hair under 27.5 on this side. And hair under 27.5 on that side. And that is with the coilover mounts adjusted pretty evenly on the bottom. So I'll put it up in the air and we can kind of look. You can get an idea of clearance and all that sort of thing. I'm gonna real quick before we go up in the air show you guys the clearance on the gas tank, and it is tight, but it's not so tight that it's going to be a problem. So I can just about get my fingers through there, so that there's not going to be much lateral movement. So I don't really foresee that ever hitting. Hopefully that's a decent shot where you can see. I did have to, as I've mentioned in another video, I hit that with a hammer to bend that, fold that up as tight as I could. So anyway, to give you some context, this rear end is cut 2 inches per side with 6.5 inch back spacing on a 10-inch wheel. So that will fit. But if, you know, these are the wheels I had, and I did not want to buy new wheels right now. So if you were going from scratch, you probably would, if you're going to stay with a 10, you'd probably go with a 5.5 inch backspace wheel that would push it out just a little, and it would make these clearances a little less tight. So we'll put it up in the air and you can see. So you can see now the coilovers are close enough that I can deal with that. Since the last video, heck, I don't know what I've done. New brake, I put the brake lines on. Last time it was just barely able to sit down. I redid my subframe connectors here. These are just the old ones, and I just modified them a little bit to work with the new torque boxes. I ended up cutting them all the way off and kind of redoing them on the ground. I'm trying to get my bars back to where they were. This top hole was pretty close to the stock location mount, and same here. This is a pretty close measurement from the floor as to where it was before. So hopefully I'll be starting from a pretty known spot, though. I don't know how much the coilovers will affect the way everything works together. Get an idea on the clearance here. There's quite a bit of clearance. I was concerned with this back spacing that I might have a little bit of tightness, but it's not anywhere near hitting anywhere. So I probably got at least a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch everywhere. And like I said, if you were starting from scratch, you probably would not run this backspace wheel with a rear end like this. You'd probably throw it out to the edge a little further. I wanted to be able to run 12-inch wheels, and I kind of want them to look as deep as possible if I ever do that. So that's kind of why I did it the way I did it. There's really no issues with the gas tank. This side is not even close, really. As you can see, I don't think it would ever be an issue with the way the frame is. And this side is close. And if you ran maybe a taller tire or something, that may be an issue, but for what I've got, it's fine. Put a new battery box in it, all that stuff. Had to tweak my fuel lines. Keep it in mind as you're doing this kind of project that you end up having to change a lot more than you thought you were gonna have to. So I had to kind of mess with the way my fuel lines ran, brake lines, all kinds of stuff, little hidden expenses. I don't love the way my fuel filter sticks out here, but it's not gonna hit. I'd prefer it be tucked in there, but there's really no room for it. So that's the underneath of the car. It's pretty much all back together. It'll start and run and all that. I did have to tweak my exhaust turn downs just a little bit. They were hitting these, but now they're below, so not a problem now. I'm gonna have to study up on shock settings. I don't know exactly where a good starting point is. So these did come with some guidelines as to what might work. So I'll probably start there. So that's the underneath of the car. That's pretty much the state of it. It's ready for a test drive. It's kind of cold back here in Kentucky, so I'll probably delay that until it warms up a little bit. But it is ready for a test drive, so wish me luck. Thanks for watching. I want to do a wrap-up video on this, kind of a lessons learned with kind of like all the tools you would need to do this, all the surprises along the way that you're going to encounter that are going to cost you way more than you thought, all that kind of stuff. So there'll probably be one more video in this installment. I may do a short one of the test drive just in case there's any fireworks. I hope there won't be any, but yeah, just a wrap-up video of, you know, planning what all goes into putting to doing something like this, and preferably doing it pretty right the first time without spending a bunch of extra money or spending money twice. So thanks for watching. If this is useful, like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or input about anything, let me know.